Okay. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Visual.
Okay. Okay. So good evening, all. So the topic for today is, writing research report and understanding impact factor. So very important, to park your paper, to park your research work with the right platform. So it is very important to understand how to evaluate the journals, how to identify, where to put your papers into the practices. So these are the very important practices, as an academician that we have to undergo as a part of improving our API score, and to prove ourselves to be on, the growing side. So these are the important parameters and important factors that we as an academician needs to see to it, and accordingly we have to proceed further. So with that note, I'll start my presentation. Uh,
Good morning, good evening, sir. Sharad this said actually. So previously, what session we were doing that got interrupted because of technical glitch or something? What
yes,
something
yes.
happened on the day of
So
Saturday?
we'll try to see in last 15 minutes, right? Where we got stock up, right? So we'll try to cover up in last 15 minutes. I know it.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So how to begin, a research report writing. So firstly, very important that we need to understand that research is a funnel process where we have to narrow down the concept and the topic on which we are doing study, right? What is the meaning of that? We have to narrow down the topic. How to decide to have a narrow down the topic, and narrow down in a sense what context we are talking about. So very important that we as a researcher, will try to understand how to narrow down the topic. What are the way out? What are the blueprints that we need to follow to prove, to narrow down your topic and to reach at the certain level where we can finalize the topic that yes, this is the topic on which I want to do the research. This is the topic on which I want to proceed for the research, right? So very important that we should narrow down the topic, and that's where we have to decide, the scope of research in which we have to do the research. Then now the question is always comes to the mind, right? The theory says something, but when we talks about the applicability part is something different, and rather different in a sense we need to understand the process that we need to undergo on, to reach at the finalization of the title. So very important, how to take these things into consideration. So very important that in whatsoever area in which we want to do the research, we need to have, the jumbled idea, or the random idea, which I can call it, right, on the topic that we have to see to it. So previous session, which I have taken, day before yesterday, we had discussed the research process, right? So and this discussion is all about how to finalize your title and the topic, right? And there are few answers which has been came out. Had asked whether your title be decided at the beginning of the research or your title should be decided at the end of the research. So there was, 50-50% answers on both the side. But finally, we reached to the conclusion that that finalization of title is always going to be happen in the last process. Why? Because during the process, you are undergoing with various steps of research, under where you have different experience in terms of, the data, types of data, methodological part, behavior of the data, right? So these are the important parameters that we must have to see to it, and accordingly we have to process for the analytical point of view. And after putting the analytical point of view, the result would be something else. The data behavior something else. So sometimes it might happen that the behavior of the data would be something else, based on the title that we have decided. So we always need to have a synchronization process between the title and the topic that we are deciding. And that's why it has been said that research is a narrow down process. Research is a funnel process where we have to decide the title in the last, right? We have already gone through it that there should be a synchronization process between the title and the findings and conclusion, right? So let me brief you about that. We had discussed that we should have one title, right? Based on title, we have gap. Based on that, we have objective. Based on objective, we have hypothesis. Based on hypothesis, we have the data analysis, and based on data analysis, we have findings and conclusion. So what I was trying to say is there should be a synchronization process. So when we are talking about the synchronization process, so we basically talks about this part, right? So when we reach at this stage, we need to see that, there should be a connection between this process and this process. So your finding and conclusion ultimately will meet to the title, right? If at all there would be some, deviations out of these findings and conclusions and out of this process, so we need to refine the title, we need to remodify the title, and accordingly we have to proceed. Right. So there should be a synchronization process out of this process. And that's why I told, resource report writing, the title never be finalized at the initial stage. The title is always going to be finalized, once your research is going to be completed, because during the process, the title might be changed, depending upon the experience and observations that every researcher has undergone. Right. And that's why and this is the entire process for those people who are considering that the research should be original, ethical, and that should be some significance. When I have to talk about, and significance is basically means of societal importance. I always say that any research without societal importance has no importance in the market. Because why people will refer your paper, why people will give you a citation, because there should be some output, that should be gettable from your research work. So if at all people is not getting out of it, then I think your research is not proving in terms of the importance that you need to provide into the society. And that's why your research should be in the focused area. Focused area means it should focus upon the societal problem, it should focus upon the recent trends and prospects that is going on into the society, and that is where you have to focus upon, right? It should not be deviated from the main or the core aspect of the research that you need to go for it, right? So that is when the research should be on focused area. Then your research paper should be full of fundamental knowledge. Your research should be based on fully fundamental knowledge. It should be fundamentally strong. It should be clearly strong from the base point. It should not be talking in terms of out of the way, right? It should completely talks about the area, the prospect, the object, the data, the variables that you are trying to take, and accordingly your findings should be there. And ask yourself about the quality of the work that you have done in terms of the citation process. So when we are asking about it, and sometimes we shown our worriedness regarding the citation process that you need to generate. So we always need to ask ourselves whether we have provided enough quality, enough justification to our research work or not. And accordingly, we have to see to it. Ensure the relevance, right? Ensure the relevance means the topic should be decided in such a way, right, that it should relevant to the market, it should be relevant to the environment, it should be relevant to the problem. And these things should always be aligned with the help of the proper and systematic literature review that we are doing it. And at the same time, that literature review should interlink with the societal needs that we need to carry forward. And that is what we need to look forward. Right. So that is where we have to see the relevance. And another aspect is we also need to understand the existing research, right? So whenever we are looking for the research work, the literature review will always try to help to identify the research gap, right? Which I already discussed in the last session, right? How to identify the gaps. So gap is nothing but what is already been done in the past and what we are trying to do in the future, right? Or in this particular paper, right? So to bridge the gap, it is called the actual research gap, right? And actually research has been carried out to bridge that particular gap, right? Based on the existing knowledge in terms of the literature review, which are available with us as a part of the study. And research reports always consist of the contribution that has been provided by each and every researchers, right? If at all the research work is going on a jointly basis, so here you need to define the contribution that has been provided by each and every individuals as a part of the basic and fundamental body of knowledge, right? So everyone has to decide their own contributions as a part of the research part. So collaboration and partnership. Again, research can be extended with the collaborative partnership among different authors. When I'm saying the collaborative effort, it doesn't require that the particular person should be belongs to from same institutions, same industry, same education field. But it could be from any area across the world, right, where we can have the tie-up of the research. With the bibliometrics analysis, you can always find out the researchers who are doing the research in the core area in which you are doing your research, and with the help of them, you can also collaborate your efforts with them, and accordingly you can proceed. Then innovation and technological transfers, yes. So we also need to see to it that whenever we are trying to process our research work, we need to take into consideration as a part of the innovation and transformation which has happened in the particular technological parameters, whether it is for the whether it is for the research work, whether it is for the topic related things, whether it is for the software related aspect, or any other things which are directly or indirectly connected with our research work, that needs to be justified. Infrastructure, very, very important. If we are planning for have good citation, good research paper, so proper infrastructure in terms of the quality of research work that we need to carry it out, in terms of the laboratories, equipments, software availability. So all those things needs to be taken care, and they have been handled with minutely, and we softly and gently we have to understand, because if those things are not available, or lack of infrastructure will always leads to demoralization aspect as far as research is concerned, from the scholars, from the faculties, and from the students point of view as well. So yes, without infrastructure, not possible to have a good research work, and at the same time the citation process, right? So that is where we have to see. Then research supervisions and graduate training, right? So always the research supervision should always be there, with the consideration of the number of students and scholars that we are aiming for, and accordingly we have to provide the trainings to the respective people, right? It could be research scholar, it could be anyone, because more and more we are making awareness among the society, the more the eco-friendly environment that we are trying to prove in terms of the research that we need to carry out. Then clearly state the objective, whatsoever paper or projects or the thesis writing that you are looking for. It is very, very important that research questions, objectives, and hypothesis should be clearly defined, right? It should not be deviated from each other, right? It should be clear and precise, where everything should be properly mentioned, and ensure the feasibility in terms of the research questions that are manageable and can be addressed within the available resources and time frame, right? So that is where the feasibility will come into the picture. Select the appropriate methods. So we have to see the appropriate methods of doing the research. It could be without qualitative, it could be quantitative. It depends upon the researcher, and it depends upon the objective of the research for which you are conducting a research. Quantitative is always talks in numbers. Qualitative is always talks in terms of the cognitive things, or qualitative aspect in terms of opinions, behaviors, or something like that, right? So it depends upon the title and the prospect for which the research has been carried out. But yes, very, very important that according to that, your techniques, your behavior, your approach should be diverted into that particular domain or area. Then we also have to see to it the ethical implications. So very, very important as a part of quality research work or quality journal that we are aiming for. Whenever you do any research, you always go for the literature review, and those literature review is always consist of the idea and prospects about the previous research. So in social science, if I recall, you people are not doing any you are not inventing something, but if at all we talks about social sciences, we always try to have research on any of the topic or area in which we are looking for. So that is where we always need to see to it that whenever we are taking some ideas, some opinions from some prospect from any other people, we should not forget to give the credit to that particular person or the people for that particular aspect. So very, very important that we should give the particular aspect and credits to that particular person. This is a legal and ethical aspect of carrying out your research. So very, very important that we should also take those things into consideration. Okay, then consider develop data collection tools. So it is very, very important that you should have proper data collection tools. based on the study that you are carrying out. If at all you are going for primary study in terms of searching the opinions of the people or the prospect, then you have to go for the survey or questionnaire. And if at all you are going for the in terms of forecasting or prediction, you always needs to take care about the secondary data, or that is where it has to be, right? So that is where okay, fine. Okay, then ensure reliability and validity. So very, very important. Whatsoever data that you are collecting, right, that should be reliable, and it should be verified from the point of view of reliability and validity. So no data should be without reliability and validity. If at all your data are not reliable and not validate from all the prospect, then the data will lose its importance in the market, right? So very, very important, right, that you check your reliability of the data and validate your right. That is where it has to be, right? Then choose appropriate analysis methods. So appropriate analysis method, in a sense, we have to design. Fine. So we have to design appropriate methods and statistical tool. Fine. Okay. Any questions till now?
Sir, one question which you had made a statement that the title must not be finalized in the beginning and it should be at the end. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
So my question is that I mean, in case the title and the area of research is clear, then is it something which needs to be done all the time, or it is something which you're suggesting as a desirable thing?
Sorry, can you repeat, sir?
I'm saying that, so what you're saying is a general statement for all researchers, or is it something which is a recommended way to do? Meaning that in case somebody has got a title in the beginning and during the process of the research, that title is more or less the same. So is that the right thing or is it the wrong thing? That's what I'm trying to understand.
See, research is all about where, if at all, see, many people are considering that our title should be, our title should be decided in the beginning. But what I feel it, if you are deciding your title in the beginning, that means you know what is the problem, right? So that is not the case. During the research, you have gone through the process, you have experienced something, and based on what your experience is, your findings have been different. Sometimes if you are going with the reliability and validity testing, why people are doing pilot studies? So you need to understand that pilot study is basically done for understanding whether people have understood your object, whether people have understood your purpose of doing things. If they have not understood, then you have to reframe your questions, reframe your objects. So if at all the data is not supporting, or what we feel it in the beginning, that should be the problem, but when we go to the market as a part of data collection, then we realize that this is not the problem, but the problem is something else. Then we need to change our target audience, then we need to change our variables, then we need to change our questions, right? So obviously when we are changing everything, then how the title can be same? Or I'm not saying that it is completely redrafted, but there would be some modification in the title that needs to be executed as a part of researcher. I'm not talking in terms of PhD, where
Okay.
PhD will people will try to fit the data.
Okay, I was actually talking from the point of PhD. I'm a PhD scholar, so from that point I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I understand in what is practice is happening in universities, that is a different case. But if we are talking about the actual research in the market, where the research will have let's say you are going for some research grant, right? So do you think that it is going to be as per your expectation? Many times it will be changed. Questions will change, objectives will change, findings will change. So how the title can be seen?
Sir, I mean, the definition of the word title is also something which needs to be understood. I'm just asking this for my better understanding. Let us say that if the area of research is education or higher education or management education, now, I mean, the problem statement may start from maybe the researcher may say the problem statement is placement of management students in corporate, and as the research progresses, the statement or the title could change from the opportunities emerging for management students. So those could be possible, but the area of management students, that perhaps will stay, or will it not stay even then?
See, when we are conducting a research on management students, so obviously management student cannot be changed, right? But you cannot mention that the problem of management student in your title. There could be some specific, that we have discussed, that research is a narrow down process where you have to discuss the specific things which you are going to, identify from the management students, right? So if at all you have you compare your research proposal and your research paper or research thesis, you will find the drastic change what you have proposed and what you have executed, right? So that is a part of PhD work. But if at all we are talking about research journey, right? So what we are planning in the beginning and what we have pursued after, at the end of the research. So there would be a drastic change, and every research will have it, because if at all we know the prospects and problems of the particular thing, then why we are doing research? And that is what I'm saying it. That is a synchronization process of findings and conclusion, objectives, problems, and the title. So if at all the title was something else, we were not in a position to decide our title finally. But once we have the findings and conclusion in our hand, by going into the deeper process of all the aspect of problem, prospect, questions, and analysis and all these aspects, then finally we realize, yes, this research is going into this direction. So with the consideration of direction, we can try to modify the title, where the direction of the research went out. So if at all management students, so which management students we are talking about? If we are talking about the problem, so what problem we found out in this particular research, right? So that should be mentioned in the title, right? Because title should always cover the variables of the study that we are going to take up. So if at all I'm putting this title like problems of management students, so somehow the title is missing the crux of the research that we are looking for. That is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you should change the management student. But apart from that management student, what subparts you are receiving, so that you will try to enter into your title and make your title to be concrete and effective, right? So that the person will, whenever will read your research paper, they would able to understand that this paper is talking about problems of management students in terms of what areas. That could be modified. I'm not saying that complete research is going to be modified. Modification means some addition, some deduction.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, sir. One
Yes,
more
please.
question. Sir, how to validate the data? Sometimes for some problem statement like healthcare problem, we send forms, Google Forms, and collect the data. So how to validate that data? Actually, whatever we got is the correct things or not?
See, we have to check the reliability of the data, right? So there is a measure called Cronbach alpha, right? I hope you are using SPSS.
Yes, sir.
Right. So in SPSS, there is a scale measurement, right? Let's say you are asking for Likert scale data, right? From 1 to 5 scale or 1 to 7 scale. So you have to validate your data in terms of Likert scale, right? We have to go for Cronbach alpha reliability and validity aspect. So if the Cronbach alpha is coming less than 0.7, right? So somehow your data is missed out. In a sense, the people have not understood, or people have not paid an attention to give an answer for the questions which you have asked. Or sometimes your data reflecting that if at all person have answered your question, but the Cronbach alpha to be on the lower side, that is less than 0.7, is reflecting that either people were not serious about to answer, or somehow they missed out the purpose of asking these particular questions by you. Right. So that is where we have to ensure the reliability. And if at all you are, receiving this kind of results in the stage of pilot study, you need to remodify your questionnaire. You need to remodify your variables with the consultation to the expert. And again you have to circulate your questions, to get answers from the respondent.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. So yes, so these are the very, very important point that we should not miss out, because once we reach at the data collection, once we finish the data collection, and during that process, rightly ask one of the great questions that reliability and validity. So if you are not taking those things into consideration, then there would be a problem. Definitely, there would be a problem, because once you have collected the entire data and your data is not reliable and validated, then how can you check your results and how can you measure the consistency of the data? So very, very difficult, to answer those kind of questions. So very, very important that we should do these things very politely. And that's where appropriate analysis of methods is very, very important. Because as I always say that, software is software, right? So software is software, right? They don't have the minds of that, right? So software needs to be, justified based on your knowledge. You should provide your knowledge in terms of what sort of data that you are using, right? And that is where a very, very important things that, right kind of data should be injected into the software so that the right kind of results can be gettable. Because software doesn't have a mind in terms of, the mixture of data that we have to utilize with the consideration of the statistical formulas. That is the role of researcher, and that is the role of researcher, it is going to be started. So that is where we have to be very cautious in terms of understanding the types of data and the application of the data while putting the data into the software for the analytical point of view. And that's where, if you don't know the right kind of data to be injected, then it is always a question mark that how you interpret the data. And once you make this mistake at this stage, then I think your entire research is going into no use, right? Because wrong data, wrong methods, and so that the wrong interpretation, and ultimately your research will lose the existence into the market, right? Where people will feel that you have just applied your nominal mind, that you know how to generate the results, but you don't know how what data needs to be injected to generate the result. So that is where the quality of research could be justified based on those parameters. So that has to be very carefully taken care. Structure of your paper basically includes the 5 chapters. Like chapter 1 needs to be introduction, chapter 2 needs to be literature review, right? Chapter 3 needs to be methodology, chapter 4 results, chapter 5 discussion and conclusion. So this is how it should be. Use clear language in a sense, very politely. Language should be very clear, neat and clean, up to the mark, right? And very precisely, right? So that is where the clear language needs to be decided. Citation source properly, ensure proper citation of all resources following a recognized citation cycle. So whatever, this is completely depends upon the journal or the universities where you are trying to submit your thesis, or journal where you are trying to publish your paper, or any of the other agencies where you are trying to get the fundings from the market. So you have to see the author's guideline as far as your research paper is concerned, whether they are accepting in APA style, whether they are accepting in MLA style, Chicago style, Harvard style, right? So these are the various styles that you need to go for it, and accordingly you have to go for your citation process. Stay updated, very, very important. The research always starts from the current topic, current observation, right? So whenever you select your topic, you choose your topic, they should be current topic, they should be from the current affairs, and that is where you have to be very careful. Reflect and improve. Regularly assess your research process and outcomes, and see the opportunities for the improvement, right? You always need to see to it how you can improve your research process, what sort of innovations which is coming out. Is there any recent what I can say recent topic that you are missing out in terms of the variables as a part of the study? So these all things that you need to see to it very carefully. Engage with peers in terms of attending workshops, seminars, conferences. So this is where you have to engage yourself. Collaborate with experts. You need to seek the collaborations with experienced researchers or mentors to enhance the quality of your work. While citation does matter, so you need to improve your indexing in terms of the research work that you are providing to the society, and that could be reflected, how the society have adopted you in terms of the citation process, right? So that is where the citation does matters, and there are various indexing for the citation: H index, I index. Why citation matters? Not only from the individual perspective, but it is also matters from the universities and institute perspective, If at all we are looking for some accreditation, affiliation, right, where the citation needs to be provided, where the research points needs to be generated from the faculties and staff. I hope you all are aware about that. If at all you are going for higher authority in terms of NAC or any affiliation, so 50 to 60% of the criteria will be covered by the research, and experimentations for the universities and college, and initiated by the faculties. So these are the various reasons why citation does matters, and not only from the individual point of view, but it is also from the institute point of view. So that is why we need to justify those things very carefully. Quality assurance certificate, so UGC, IQAC, so all those cells are actively working in universities for getting this kind of assurance. So yes, for IQAC purpose, quality assurance certification, all these matters, a lot in terms of the citation. So yes, we need to go for this particular aspect as well. Why to increase citation score? So firstly, discoverability. How people will came to know that you are a researcher in this particular area. How people will realize your contribution in this particular area. So that is where, to increase your discoverability in the market, in particular field or area, you have to provide good research to the society so that people will acknowledge your research work, and this acknowledgement can be gettable in terms of the improved citation scores. So yes, you need to improve your citation scores, in that area in which you are doing your research. Research assessment needs to be done. So it is a process used to evaluate the quality, impact, and significance of research activities within an academic institutions. Right? Why citation matters? So yes, as I told you, so NAC purpose, UGC purpose, for IQAC purpose, right? So every institute and universities are getting accreditation, research scores, based on this, and based on this, they are also receiving some grants and fundings if they are applicable into certain criteria, right? So depending upon the requirement and the field in which the universities and institutes are working, there are certain process for research, and they need to fulfill. And by fulfilling those criteria, universities and institutes are having some financial benefits, not only from the institute perspective, but from the faculties and staff perspective also, right? So that is where every institute and universities are looking for this kind of accreditation, right? And it helps institutions, funding bodies, and researchers themselves understand the value and contribution of the research efforts, right? So this helps to understand the values and contribution which has been made in the research. And this assessment often involves both in terms of qualitative and quantitative measures. So if at all we are going for the assessment into particular criteria or domain, we need to assess them in terms of the quantitative and qualitative parameters, right? So all things are going to be usable as far as the evaluation parameter is concerned. And that's why whenever we are looking for any funding opportunities, we need to look forward as far as the major and minor research project is concerned, right, as a part of funding opportunities. So yes, we need to see to it that major and minor research project needs to be available. Why important sites for the citation? So I'm talking about the good quality papers, which portals needs to be utilized. If at all we are looking for the good quality, papers from across the, research fraternity. So obviously you should always go for Scopus index journals from Schemago website, Web of Science portal. You can go for Google Scholar, Taylor and Francis, and MBPI journal and InterScience journal. Apart from that, you can also go for academia.edu, right? So these are the various good platforms, through which the researchers can get the good quality papers for the research work. So that is where we have to see to it that whenever we refer any paper. Any doubt?
So you have not mentioned research gate here.
Research guide, you are getting normal papers. Obviously, we can. I'm just mentioning the quality, websites. Although there are many things are there, but I'm just the quality websites where you are getting some, good journals in terms of APTC, Scopus, or UGC care kind of journals where you can get it, right? So obviously, you can go for ResearchGate, JSTOR. You can go for EBSCO. Right. So these are the various platforms you can definitely refer. No issue. Okay. Can you have the mute, please, sir?
Please.
Can we have?
Yes, Rohini Madam ji. Please turn off.
Okay.
Rohini madam, can you please mute yourself?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Please mute yourself, madam, so that disturbance will not come. We are getting constant noise, so please mute yourself. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So important site for the citation. So these are the various platforms through which you can receive the citation, or not only receiving citation. It is a buy and take relation. You always produce your paper into these journals, and you always refer those papers from this journal, right? So that the quality perspective that we are talking in terms of improved citation and quality journal. So that is what is going to be attainable. Process to increase the citation. So, first is your research should be original. It should not be copy paste, although it should be referred from other researcher, but it should not be copy paste. And that's why it has been said that it should be rigorous and significant in a manner, right? Research should be rigorous and significant in a manner. Then write on the funnel approach, main area title. Your title should be very specific, as I already told, depending upon the findings and conclusion that you are receiving. You may modify the title depending upon the changes that you have noted. And that is where it should be a funnel approach, where main title should at least, define what exactly the particular readers are going to read in this article, right? So whenever your paper is getting published in future, and if some reader is, trying to download your paper as a part of his research idea, right? So the title should be, the base for the content which is there in the articles. So that should be properly managed. Justify your papers on the fundamental front. Your paper should not miss out the fundamental front, means the basic theory, basic criteria, basic rules that needs to be properly followed. It should not be missed out. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Make sure that the content should be advanced and updated. Whatever things that you are taking, it should not be outdated. It should be new. It should be current. It should be up to the mark as per the expectations of the society and market. And accordingly, we have to proceed. Identify a good journal for your research work. As I already mentioned, right? A previous slide, I have already told you. I have just mentioned few 3 website from which you can get the papers. Because, if at all somebody has already tried to put the papers into Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science journal, so you might have experienced, the first process once you submit your paper, as a part of the acceptance of your article, the first process that every journal needs to initiate is to check the cross-ref, that is the references. Which kind of references that particular researcher has provided as a part of the submission of his or her article. So if at all your article is not providing the references in a manner it has to be, right, then it would be a problem, right? Because they are not accepting the references from the, what I can say is that peer-reviewed journals or the journals which do not have DOI numbers, right? So very, very important that whenever you are referring any journals and you are taking the work of this journal as a base of your article, we must need to ensure that we should, collect the article from those journals where we have the DOI number and which have a cross-ref, so that the chances of rejection of your article from the first check of the journals, that is cross-ref of the references and bibliography, should be easily cleared, and you can proceed for checking the rest of the criteria in terms of the quality of the research work that you have provided to the society. So then after, the journal will take the decision whether they should accept or reject your paper. Right. So, but your paper should not get upfrontly rejected based on, the non-quality references that you have taken up in your paper. So this is what small things are there, but matters a lot, and that is where we have to take care. Right. So we also need to see the difference between the quality and quantity. So here we need to differentiate ourselves, in terms of the quality that we are providing, at the same time the quantity. Does your paper is focusing upon the quantity? Sometimes people are focusing that you should require this much amount of pages, this much amount of analysis should be there as a part of thesis. So that doesn't matter, right? If the thesis analysis is ending at 70 pages, then no need to have stretchable up to 120 pages. That doesn't make any sense when result is already received, but you are just trying to stretch the explanation of the result by your way, right? So that is where you have to be very cautious and careful in this particular aspect. So yes, you always have to differentiate between the quality and quantity of the research work that you are looking for. Okay. Then this is where the high impact factor journal does matter, and we always needs to focus upon. Just like you can see over here, there is one journal called Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services. So this is one Q1 journal. If at all you are going for the citation process, so this journal is also having a citation. Like this journal is almost following 143H index, right? That means this journal is that much amount of quality that every one paper of this journal have been minimum cited by 143 times, up to 143 articles of this journal. So this is how the quality does matter. So every person who wants to publish his paper in marketing and consumer services, they're always looking for this kind of journals paper, to be cited in their paper, right? Because this journal speaks about the qualities, right? So that is where the citations, you can see this in the green signals. And this is a Q1 journal, right? I hope you are aware about the Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Yes or no? You all are aware about it?
Not much, sir.
Sorry?
Not much about this.
Not much. Okay. So see, if you are going for Scopus journal, no? If you are going for Scopus, so there are 4 criteria: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So the highest quality will be provided by Q1, right? So that is, you can see over here, right? Q2 is next to this, Q3 is next to this, and Q4 is the lowest category of Scopus journal, but it is a part of Scopus journal, right? Then once the Q4 is over, then UGC CARE journals get started, right? And once UGC CARE is over, then peer-reviewed journal will start, and the lower grade of peer-reviewed is no journals, right? So this is how the synchronization process, the quality process needs to be followed. So when we talks about impact factor, when we talks about the quality of work, so we must need to ensure that our work should be qualitative, work should be spoke out, and that's where the publication of the work should be in the quality journal. And at the same time, if you are aiming for publication in quality journal, make sure you will cite the quality papers from the quality journals. Very, very important parameters, right? So that's why we are conducting this session today. That whenever you are focusing upon the quality publications through which you want to receive a citations in the market, before that, to publish your paper into quality journal, you need to provide quality references and bibliography as a part of supporting to your study. And that is gettable from the quality journals. And I have already discussed the website from which you can refer, you can receive the quality journals. Is it clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. So yeah, so consideration of the various parameters of title, length, and spatial character. So the impact and influence of research papers can be adversely affected by long titles, too many authors, and poor punctuation. Research language should be very clear. It should not be too scientific. It should not be too punctuation, because the language should be in such a way that layman person can understand the language, because they are not well versed about the technicality of the research work, right? So the title should be very clear, precisely, not too long, not too short, but it is up to the mark, as I have already discussed. The title should speak out everything that you have already described in the paper, right? It should not miss out the important theme of the particular research that you have conducted, right? So that is where you can get it, and you can see the references and supporting documents. That analysis of over 150,000 papers uploaded to the UK's Research Excellence Framework database in 2014, which reveals that publication with shorter titles and fewer authors had greater citation counts, right? So the number of authors count should also be restricted more than 3, right? So that is where we have to see to it that, the less amount of authors, the greater sensibility of the citations, right? Okay. So these are the, which I was talking about. So Research ID is one of the platform where you can create your ID, and you can also look forward for the citation process. So yes, Research ID, you can always refer to it. Academia.edu, just like, the one faculty has already said, academia.edu. So yes, you can go, sorry, I have already said, right? So academia.edu, you can also put your ID into it, and you can you can upload your analysis, you can upload your papers, and you can also receive references. You can also have your followers. Google Scholar is another platform where you can always go for it, right? So you can have your citations and the process. ORCID ID, very, very important if you are focusing upon submitting your paper into research, uh, Scopus ABDC journal. So it is very, very important that you should have your ORCID ID in your hand. So ORCID ID is playing a pivotal role as far as, submitting your articles into any quality journals. I hope you all have the ORCID ID. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. So ORCID ID is very, very important to proceed further as a part of submission of your articles. So yes, this is required. Right. So this is what we have to cover up today. So if at all you have any questions in this parameter, so please let me know. Then after, I'll quickly cover the session which we have missed out yesterday. But yeah, up till now, if you have any questions, please let me know.
So in terms of citations, I have one question, like whenever we are writing any paper, like in the introduction phase or literature review, mostly introduction phase.
Ah.
So so we have thoughts in our mind. So sometimes obviously for one particular topic, there is a limited thoughts can be generated, though it can be more, but still bracket will be limited only. So if we are having any thought and we are writing in the research paper and we have sent it for the to check where the plagiarism, how much plagiarism is there. So obviously thoughts can be generated by the multiple people. Same thoughts can be generated by the multiple people. And when we are writing down the thoughts into the paper, so there could be little bit difference in terms of language. And I'm talking about the couple of sentences I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So how we can, so is it mandatory, like if you are putting any thought from our mind, and obviously that that thoughts have already been published by some other journal, like some other people, researcher in the research
See,
paper.
on that, I have a very specific answer. See, your thought has been governed by some literature. If you are thinking something, you might have, read something, or you have undergone something through which the thought has been came out. Although you are not inventing something.
Not like that literature review. Suppose any topic is there. Obviously, we have gone through the multiple books. It's not only research only. So suppose we have gone through multiple books. Out of that, out of reading all the books, I've got some thoughts. And like combination of, it could be combination of multiple books I have gone through.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm talking about, like if I'm combining the thoughts
See,
and generating some thought process.
See, what I want to try is, you are from social science, right?
From management, sir, actually.
Right. So social science is your field.
Yeah.
So, we in management, we have already defined various theories, first of all. And we have undergone various literatures, various study materials based on which we have defined our own thinking power. So whenever I'm thinking something, or whenever I'm, assuming something as a part of my understanding, somehow it should be backed by some theories, some learning, some experience. Although I'm not inventing something new theories in my mind, I'm just trying to intercorrelate with each one particular things with another particular things. So I
But
think,
it could be also through the observation. Suppose I'm from the marketing background, so I do observe the things like people behavior and all.
yeah. So
So
whatever you
observe-
observe, where you have observed the things, you should cite them.
okay, so we can cite it like in on
So that's
individual
what
basis.
I'm saying. No, we are not inventing something. We are taking base. I'm not saying that it should be from the journal, right?
Mhm.
It should be from the workshop. It should be from some person, right? So that you can cite it down. No, nobody's saying that you should only. Although literature review should be from the paper, but that is what I'm saying. No, whatever we are thinking, we are assuming that is backed by someone, right, who have already worked on it. And I think in management, no area has been left out, where, nobody has tried to intercorrelate each things with each other, right? So somehow we should try it, we somehow manipulate in terms of the area in which we want to do the study, the manipulation in terms of the combination of the variables that we have taken up into the study. Right, so that is what we are doing it. But although whenever you are doing one or two manipulation out of the 10 variables, but although 8 variables, have been already be counted by some other researchers, so obviously we have to cite them. No? Who says that whatever variables, 10 variables you have taken, that needs to be cited? You can cite for every individual variables, and then you can prove it that these are the researchers who have done on these variables, and this is the study, and these are the outcome. But nobody has done with the combination of these variables, and that is where you are trying to prove yourself to be a researcher. Where you are trying to mix up the combinations and try to prove some unique combinations for your research work.
And also one thing, like if I'm taking some of the sentences from any research paper, and even I'm giving the citations as well. So do I need to reframe it, or do I need to do paraphrasing?
Yeah. Reframe.
Put it in the
your research should be ethical, no? You are
Yes,
taking the
ethical.
idea of it, but that idea needs to write in your own language.
Okay.
You cannot copy paste their wordings.
Okay, correct.
So continuing with the concept of what Dr. Sharad has mentioned, if after the research finding, if he has some innovative idea which he wants to propose as a part of conclusion, can it not be done? Because citation is not always important if you are finding it different, new finding.
No need to provide citation in finding if it is your new innovation. Right?
Yes, sir.
But there is no compulsion for that. I'm not saying that. But yeah,
Because
whenever you are taking a base for
that can be
introduction,
proposed, sir. That
Sorry?
can be a proposal by the author.
Even you can recommend for the future study, future scope of study, if you have some invention and
Yes,
no
sir.
research has been happened. So you can propose in your future recommendations also.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
my question is, Dr. Soni, about what is the suggestion and direction for research sponsorship? So somebody who is perhaps, got a research paper ready, more or less, a thesis is ready. At that stage, is it possible to get some research grant, sponsorship, etc.?
See, first of all, research grant and sponsorship is very specific up to the area. Whenever any research committee or any agencies are coming out with the grants, they have specific area or domain in which they are ready to receive, issue the grants. So first of all, it's not like that your research paper is ready so that you will receive a grant. So this is first. Yeah, although your research paper and research topic is meeting to the theme of that particular research agency's grant, then definitely you can apply for it. Right, but there are certain criteria that if at all you are going for some good research grant in terms of management like ICSSR, so they have some consideration that you should have some good quality publications, into good research journals like Scopus ABDC. So minimum requirements are there in terms of quality work that you have already produced into the market. So they will not allocate you the grants in the first instance. Although your title is good, your topic is good, but they will also see your previous history. So whenever you are looking for grants, so always need to ensure that you have a good publications before applying to any grant agencies. I'm not talking about domestic or local agencies, but yeah, if you are focusing upon good agencies like ICSSR at the national level, or if at all any agencies you are focusing upon at the international level, so yes, your background in terms of that particular area, in terms of publications, should be proper, so that the grant agencies will ensure that you are capable enough to carry out this research work, in the area or at the level it has to be.
So I'm not an academician. I am a practicing professional doing my PhD in a subject of the industry. So in that case, one point which you mentioned about my past work of academics, that's not there. So I'm not an academician that way. So are there some websites where I can search for the possibility of seeking out and checking up?
See, research grant is basically, let's say you are doing right now PhD. Right. So try to have your publications to be in good quality journals at PhD level. Then definitely you can go for it. Right. Where you need to fight for your research grant in terms of the conceptual clarity based on the thing which they have been providing. And you have to prove your idea in the, in the alignment of the theme which has been provided by them. And at the same time, whenever, the research needs to be provided, you have to take a leave from your office work as well, because they have certain deadlines after 6 months. So that you also need to ensure, like PhD, you have a coursework or DRC meetings. So they also ask for some, discussion on that part, progress of your work that has been done. So these are the things which we have to look forward. So they will take an assurance from your side whenever you are applying for the grant. So are you able to take these things? And they will also ask the NOC from your agencies or, the corporate in which you are working. And if they are agreeing, so they don't mind it. Right. So these are the things which you have to do. Otherwise, there is no difference whether you are from corporate or industry. They are looking for your research background, your research base, your ideas, and how you are going to incorporate as a future plan. And if they meet up to their expectation, they don't mind to give you fundings, whether you are from academics or corporate.
So you mentioned one website, ICCR is what you mentioned?
ICSSR.
ICSSR.
SSR. Indian Council for Social Science Research.
Okay. Is there any other website, any other body where we can search?
For management is very restricted bodies, but if you go for chemical, bioscience.
No, I am from management.
So management we have at national level very limited. Like ICSSR is the only body which provides the fundings for that social science research.
Okay, let me search, and if I have any questions, maybe I will.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. How the journal's impact factor is calculated?
It depends upon the number of articles, and number of article has been cited for number of times. Just like 143, as I mentioned for this particular journal Q1. So that means this journal might have 1,000 articles published in their portfolio. But out of that, there are 143 articles who are minimum cited by 143 peoples for multiple reasons. That's why this journal is having 143 H index.
So is there any numerical formula for it, sir?
Yeah, definitely is there. If you go to Google, write indexing formula, you will definitely get it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So I hope any more. It was nice interactions. Yeah, but I hope you are meeting the expectations of the answers.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So any more questions? So tell me where we have stopped yesterday. So quickly we will sum up.
P-value somewhere we are talking about. P-value should be how we have to reject null hypothesis.
Okay, p-value. No, so we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll wind up. Almost. So the p-values would be same for all. So it was a research paper writing. No, this session was research paper writing. Yeah. So research paper writing, right? Okay. Fine. So we have almost discussed these parameters. It was research paper writing, no? What was the topic?
Yesterday one, yesterday one
Day
or
before
today?
yesterday, yeah.
It was
Just a minute. Hypothesis testing, okay.
Hypothesis testing.
In development. Just a minute. Samir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hypothesis testing.
Hypothesis testing and development, right?
Yeah.
So this was which we were discussing. So yeah, so this is hypothesis testing and development, which we were discussing, right? So so this we have already discussed. So here we stopped, or we have covered this. So I was discussing about this, no? Significance level is p-value. So the hypothesis acceptance and rejection criteria, we have already seen it like this. If p-value is greater than 0.05, so this is falling into acceptance region of null hypothesis. And if the p-value is less than 0.05, then it is falling into rejection region of null hypothesis, right? So this is acceptance region where the p-value should be greater than 0.05, right? So this is acceptance region of null. And here p-value less than 0.05. So this is rejection region of null hypothesis. Clear? This is rejection region of null hypothesis. Clear? So that is where we have to see to it. Clear? So p-value,
Not visible, sir. Screen is not visible.
sorry.
The screen, if you're sharing the screen, that is not visible. I'm not sure like you're sharing the screen or not right now.
Others, please, it is visible or not? Screen is visible.
Yes, now it's visible. Now it's visible, sir. Yes, we got it.
So I have not done anything, right? It is visible, no, for everyone.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, so this is where it is a rejection of null hypothesis, where your p-value is less than 0.05, and if your p-value is greater than 0.05, it is the acceptance region of null hypothesis. So here I was talking about the test, and you can see this p-value is 0.000, which are less than 0.05. Right, all the p-value, if you observe, that is less than 0.05. So with that consideration, you tell me this p-value is falling into acceptance or rejection of null hypothesis? This p-value is falling into acceptance or rejection of null hypothesis?
Acceptance.
Sorry?
Falling into acceptance.
It is less than, sir. It is less than. Please see to it.
Yep.
It is rejection, right? See to it. Less than. It is p-value is 0.000 right now. So it is less than, right? So it is falling into rejection, region of null hypothesis. So if your null hypothesis is rejected, so it is alternate is accepted. So your data is not normally distributed, right? So based on that, every hypothesis and every values needs to be checked. So here there is two aspects. If your data is normal, you need to go for parametric test. And if your data is not normal, you need to go for non-parametric test. So if at all I need to go for this particular data into further research, should I go for parametric or non-parametric? Which hypothesis I got accepted? Data normally distributed or data not normally distributed? Based on this p-value. Is it greater than or less than 0.05? All are less than, yeah. You know, you can see this 0.05. You tell me, out of this figure and this 0.05, which one is bigger? Obviously 0.05, no? So this two window will be open on the biggest figure, right? So it is less than, clear? So it is less than 0.05. So it is falling into rejection region of null hypothesis. So we have to accept alternate. So when we are rejecting null, so what we need to accept? Alternate. So alternate says that data are not normally distributed, clear? So based on that, all the decisions related to p-value needs to be taken. You see this p-value. Is it greater than or less than 0.05?
Less than, sir.
Less than, right? So is it falling into acceptance or rejection?
Rejection.
Rejection, perfect. Rejection of null. So this is going to be rejected. So this is going to be accepted. And this says that there is a significant difference between the population mean. That's what I'm talking about. We always talks about in terms of null is accepted or rejected. So if this is 0.00, so it is less than 0.05. Let's say hypothetically, let's say you have here value, p-value is 0.100. Now you tell me you have significance 0.05. Is it greater than or less than? 0.100 is greater than or less than? Obviously greater than. No, we have to open the this two bar among the highest figure. So 0.100 is highest, right? So we have to open this two window among the highest figure, right? So this is greater than. So if greater than is there, then it is called acceptance of null hypothesis. So in that case, if we are accepting this, so this we are rejecting. So this, if this is the case, then this is the result. There is no significant difference between the population mean. But although we have a result of 0.00, which says that there is a difference. Is it clear? Fine enough.
Again, repeat this one.
It's a matter of p-value. Please read this very carefully. Please read this very carefully. I hope it is clear. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I'm putting this p-value 0.100, so is it greater than or less than?
Greater than, sir.
This is p-value. Now this is significance level. This
Okay.
is significance level. So you tell me which one is highest. कॉमन सेंस है यार, डेसिमल वैल्यू देखिए, एक में 0.5 और एक में 100 है, कौन बड़ा है?
100.
तो जो बड़ा है उसके सामने ये दो ब्रैकेट्स ओपन कर दीजिए। अब बताइए कौन सा साइन हुआ? इस साइन को क्या
Greater
बोलते हैं?
than.
हाँ, ग्रेटर देन है ना, तो ये रहा आपका रिजल्ट। We fail to reject null hypothesis means we have to accept. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In the same way, if the p-value is 0.000 and again it is 0.05 as a significance level, you tell me which one is higher, 0.000 or 0.05?
0.5, sir.
0.05.
उसके सामने ओपन कर दीजिए। अब बताइए कौन सा साइन हुआ?
Less than, sir.
This should be less than
Yes.
0.01.
We have to reject null hypothesis. So which one is accepted? Alternate.
Alternative hypothesis will be rejected.
Yeah. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So that is what I was discussing yesterday where we got disconnected. I hope it is clear to all of you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Any more questions? If you have it, we will take it, or else we will end the session today.
How we get the p-value? So from where to get the p-value? There is any like any
See, you have multiple formulas in statistics like chi-square, but if you are going with the software, you don't have to calculate first of all. And if you want to go into applied statistics, so there are multiple formulas like you can go for F statistics, you can go for Z statistics, you can go for T statistics, and for every statistics you have a p-values.
Okay.
Right, so that you need to refer. But if you are applying software based on understanding on the behavior of data, then you don't need to go for application of the statistics.
And how we get to know like the data is normal or not normal, sir?
Based on the
So
p-value hypothesis. Null says data are normal. Alternate says data are not normal. Check the p-value. Our p-value was 0.00. You tell me which is less than or greater than. It was greater than or less than 0.05. If your p-value is 0.00 for all the statements.
It's less.
So less than means you are falling into rejection of null hypothesis. So rejection of null says acceptance of alternate. Alternate says data are not normally distributed.
Alternate says data is not normal. Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay.
It means, sir, if two population is there and their nature is same, then it would be null hypothesis.
Not two population. Hypothesis should not be designed on population. It should be designed on sample.
Sample, you can say sample. Sample would be there. Two samples are being taken, and if nature of two samples are same,
Two variables.
two variable. So, and if it is an alternative hypothesis, their nature would be different. Is it correct?
No. Nature doesn't mind. Normal distributed means all are having the opinion in the same line or different opinion. That is where normal distribution will be done, like Bell-Safe curve.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you so much for all the participants. Sorry for yesterday. I don't know whether it was stuck up. Then after I realized, yes, the session was stuck up. I think few of the faculties was there. They know it. I was unaware. But yeah, today we have almost covered, so nothing we have left out. And today's session we have also completed with proper understanding and questions. So thank you so much for Research Foundation of India for inviting me, and all the participants for the patient listening, and more importantly, more interactive. I hope the answer has been up to the expectations which you are looking for, and you'll try to apply in your future journey of research. So thank you so much, all of you.
Let me say you that your
Thank
explanation
you
is
so
very clear, sir. You have great clarity in terms of your sharing the thoughts and ideas and explanations, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Jaguri, you are. Yes, Priyas Vice, sir. You have anything? Yes, Priyas, sir. You can unmute yourself. What's Yes, Priyas, sir. You can speak. You want to say something, sir? Jaguri, madam, you have also raised a hand. If you have any query, you can. Okay. No issue. Chaliye. Thank you so much, all of you. Good night. Thank you.
Is it possible to get in touch
Thank
with
you,
you regarding any research issues or any research related queries or something?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? I'll put my number in chat box. You can always reach out if you face any problem, right? So you can get the numbers from the chat box. No issue. Yeah, thank
Sure,
you.
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all of you. Good night. Yeah.